Run it. Let's run it.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Heyo. This is the Okayest Hunter podcast.
We made it.
We made it. Another Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
You might not know it listening to wherever you're listening, but we just struggled with a technical glitch for the last 20 minutes. But here we are, ready to go. How long? Been doing this for over a decade, and it doesn't matter. There's still always going to be a problem.
It just makes the bourbon taste a little bit better.
It did. It's very sweet when it hit my lips. I was like, I think I need to have a drink right now in the middle of this tech problem. Anyway, thanks for joining us. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Okayest Podcast Network, family of podcasts run by a group of a bunch of Okayest hosts and hostesses. We have 3 new podcasts on deck. Happy to share those with you right now, so you're on the lookout for them. We got Okayest Cook coming on board. That's going to be a really fun one. We have Camp Okayest coming on board. That's going to be internal MC of the network, promoting those that are on the network, the family of podcasts. And then coming up next, the next one to go onto the network in terms of order of the work that we have to do that is Western Territory, which is formerly Pullin' Feathers. So this will be our first podcast host. We're bringing on that as an existing podcast. Been friends with Levi for, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years or something like that. And he was due for a rebrand and wanted to join our ranks. So he'll be coming on.
He has some amazing cover art for that podcast too.
Cool.
I like all of them because the gentleman you have who does the graphic design for them.
You're an artist. You appreciate it.
Yeah, they're all good, but I really like the new Western one. I think is really sick.
It's bold.
Yeah, it's
very
cool.
bold. So
very cool.
Just, I think at some point we're going to have a podcast that matches our tone of voice of the Okayest Hunter. In terms of like ethos and just the humble nature and the relatability and all that jazz. But we'll have different verticals of things that might scratch your outdoor itch. Maybe this podcast is fun to listen to every now and again. Maybe you really want to learn about trapping. So you go listen to Okayest Trapper, or you want to hear more about how the Greg and Matt are catching, big trout on Lake Michigan in the summer or something.
The Okayest Network should scratch your itch throughout the year. So if you're like amping up for deer hunting come September, the Okayest Hunter is your spot, but there's something for you the entire time now. The trapping in the winter, fishing, and you got a pretty amazing stretch of growth that you've done in the last year.
Wild.
And now it should cover everything.
Yep.
Yeah. Really cool.
It should. I mean, we'll see. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, listening. We are brought to you by Half Rack, so go to half-rack.com. Be sure to use our discount code across all of the partners. Got to talk to Bear about one. I actually just realized I hadn't had that conversation yet. I don't even know if that's a thing. But OHP will save you money across the board. So be sure, if you look on the screen as you watch here, you'll see our partners on their Latitude. We got a saddle hanging up in here. We got the Bear bow hanging up over there. We got Spartan Forge on the screen, as well as Rack Hub, which we'll be doing an episode with Rack Hub right as we get into shed season, which is funny because I think they're very tightly knit with the brand Shed Season. Great name there. We're going to be launching a contest with Shed Season pretty soon. We just worked out the details of how we want that to run. So now we have to do some stuff to build the infrastructure to handle how we're going to get entries into the contest and pick people and all that jazz. But stay tuned with that. We'll have those guys on soonish and talk about what Rack Hub is. And Derek just found the shed today.
Yeah, like an hour and a half ago, maybe.
Think about if you drill into this part of the antler here, and we'll get some of the samples before we have them on the show, so we have some more context when I'm talking about it. But you could just essentially hang this antler up right here, right into the wall, and they have all sorts of other ways to show this stuff off. So I'm actually pretty enthused about it.
Yeah, and it's not just sheds from what I've seen either.
No,
they have single shed
that
you can mount. if you got a match set, and then like European mounts or like, you know, different.
And they have the skull plates too. So like, so at work, my boss has a giant elk on the wall. Like you're not fitting that through a door. Those antlers come off. So they have the removable whitetail, muley, and elk skull plates. So if you're working with a taxidermist, you want those things to just pop off because you're afraid they're going to get damaged in transport. That's a pretty interesting thing too.
Yeah.
So among other things, but nonetheless, welcome to the show. We're happy to have everybody. We're doing a weird episode tonight. Here's the thing. Greg was going to be here. I had this all planned up in my brain until I had a total tech nightmare. Now I have no clue what I was supposed to be talking about. I had like a very eloquent way to talk about this stuff. But as
Heck with that.
some of you might be aware, I got rid of my truck last summer and I got a car, which was hard for me. It was a really painful thing. Like, luckily my kids love me and they showed me that that's not what's important. Great. But I ended up carting around a solo canoe from Old Town on my car most of the season, which I really love that thing because it's like a canoe, but it's the size of a kayak and it weighs very little.
Very sweet. Really.
So I could put that on my car. I got very efficient, surprisingly for me even. That being said, though, I put like ice fishing sled into my trunk, put my back seats down. I still had a car seat in there so I could still be dad for one of the kids if I needed to. And I had my whole setup in just the back seat of my car with the canoe on top. I was ready to go. I know, Derek, you've camped out of your minivan in the past, or I don't know if you still have that anymore.
No, we don't. But yeah, I mean, the topic of what is the, I don't want to say ultimate because I don't think either of us are working with the ultimate here, but like what is the ideal outdoor hunting rig? And I mean, most guys would say truck all the way, but I was just like you. I had a truck. I had a F-150.
Okay.
I had the, you know, Super Crew, tons of room in the back. And then I had a 6.5 foot box. I used to have a wood burner in my basement. So I wanted the extra, you know, I pulled a trailer from the cabin full of wood, filled the box up full of wood. So it was like storage space was huge for me because like that's how we heated our house in the winter. But then when we moved down here, the wife got a van, ended up selling my truck. I ended up driving the wife's Dodge Dart, which was a manual,
Nice.
thank God, because
Okay.
that was kind of fun. But the Dodge Dart was not the ultimate hunting vehicle. But I used to take the minivan on out-of-state trips that I would be sleeping in the van with. And I would just throw in, like, we have like an oversized stuffed couch that we got. So the cushions, you know, are big. And I'm not a huge guy. So I would take 2 couch cushions, stand them up in the van, pack all my stuff in there with the back seats rolled down. And then at night, I just pop those down, throw my sleeping bag on the seat cushions, on the couch cushions.
Smart.
And it was super comfortable. Everything you want is inside. Nothing really like, you know, gets cold like in the bed of your truck. Like when you put stuff in there,
cold.
all your stuff gets cold. And like, not that the inside of the van was way warmer, but like I could start it up in the morning and like let it heat
You're
up.
right there. Yeah.
And then you're putting on like
You don't have to get out and go
lukewarm
around.
boots.
Yeah. It's like having a bathroom in your house versus an outhouse. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to get out to go out and to go back in.
And most of the spots that I'm hunting nowadays don't require any sort of 4-wheel drive, like where we hunt down here.
Oh, yes.
You don't
Yeah.
need
City, like rural, whatever you want to call this. I mean, we're basically like Lee Ellis.
Yeah.
We're not.
I was in your neighbor's backyard last night. I found the shed.
I can't get both these sheds sitting here you found. I don't, anyway, like Greg's having car trouble. He's fixing his truck. That's why he's not here now. He's like, you should do an episode on taking care of your car. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. The whole episode about that sounds
And
like
he's
not
the guy
fun.
who needs to talk about that because
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
crap.
I don't want to talk about changing out carburetors and, you know, fuel filters and changing your oil and spark. Whatever. You got to do all that shit. Like, I think the Whitetail Adrenaline guys have done a really cool job with like buying a shitty beater car going into season and being like, this is the one we're driving this year. And I remember talking to Jared a number of years ago, and he said like, we do that because we want to show that you don't have to have the fucking latest model truck to get this stuff done. And you're going to have car problems. You deal with it.
That's like what you come to expect now. That's the novelty of watching a Jared Scheffler production.
What
It's
do you
like,
buy this
how
year?
many wheels are we going to blow up? How many roadside tire changes are there going to be? And then who's going to get greasy hands changing out a ball joint? Or like, you know, it's going to be someone. So it does make it cool. And those guys definitely also, I would say, use the thrift shop camo
Oh, yeah.
to full advantage too. Like those guys are not wearing high dollar, you know, camouflage
Yeah,
clothing.
they don't have any partnerships. They're not responsible.
They're
to
wearing
like,
whatever, and they're
Yep.
sneaking up within 30 yards of these freaking things, which is just cool. Like those guys, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they've definitely broken the mold on that. They've continued to be incredible at that stuff. But the real topic of tonight is, I don't know where I want to draw the line of what we're looking for from callers. I have one caller in the queue. I haven't checked it yet. I'll get to you guys or whoever that is in just a moment here. I'm hopeful that the queue will fill up. This has been a favored topic. We did it last year, and people came up to us at the trade show in the Dells and were like, I heard you because I listened to the episode about the mythical beasts or the cryptozoology, the Sasquatch, the Michigan Dogman,
The Dogman,
the Chupacabra, the Wendigo, like Indian burial ground stuff. So there's that component, ghosts and trees knocking people out of them. Where I want to draw the line and be careful here is like, we've all found weird stuff in the deer woods. I had a message the other day.
Oh, this is where the line.
Someone went shed hunting and they came across something very explicit. Quite disgusting. He's like, I can send you a picture if you want to see. I was like, no, don't send me the picture. I don't need that in my phone. Please, please don't send me the picture. So I'm just saying that to say, don't just, I don't know. I'm not sure what we're going to hear tonight on the show. I'm not sure. I have no clue what we're going to hear. People see weird shit in the woods, but if it's a SEX doll, I don't want to hear about that.
Especially if it's yours. Especially if it's yours. Don't tell us about what you're doing with it.
I found it was on private property, but it was my property.
I made it my property. Which I went scouting with a guy that we know a little bit. We met him at the Foam Fest shoot.
Yes.
Joe, and we went out and scouted a piece of public together just for shits and giggles. And I was like, hey, we hunt a similar area. Let's go scout together. So we went out there, and I had totally forgot about a story he told me at Foam Fest, which was along the same lines as the SEX doll. And like he had seen a man doing something.
Hey, you bear fucker.
Doing something in the woods that he didn't want to see a man doing in the woods. But the guy was like totally naked, and like this was a thing.
So something else was going on then.
So yeah, I totally forgot about the story. And then we're scouting or whatever, and we get to this spot where we're gonna kind of turn back. The sun's going down. I'm like, hey, we turn around here, and he's like, yeah, I don't really want to go any further anyway, because that's where the guy was. And I was like, what? He's like, do you remember that story? Oh my god! I was like, we gotta go right now, because what if he's out there? So yeah, people doing weird things.
I'm all for seeing woodpeckers in the wood, but not that kind of pecker.
No.
Different kind of woodpecker. I'm not interested in that kind of pecker. My wife, she went to Puerto Rico with a friend when we were dating, and a guy was like, pecking his woodpecker to them on a beach in the public, like just going to town behind like a towel or something, and they're like, oh my god, is that? Oh my god.
That's hard to forget.
Super weird.
Yeah,
super weird.
Not cool.
Tony, I'll just read some notes on the screen real quick, and then we'll bring our caller in. Tony Cordero, what's up? Calder, what's going on? Alec, what's up? Oh, he's not saying hi to us. He's saying hi to Tony. So they're talking amongst themselves. Thanks, guys. Michael, how's it going? We're doing good. Levi Carey's here. Hello. David Nowakowski. Hello. Wow, man, it's like the crew is here.
David has found some sheds. He was just messaging the other day. Found 2 sheds. It's been a while since you got out there and found some. So congratulations,
Good
David.
job, buddy.
I've got some people who are already, chomping at the bit to get in this smallest shed competition. My dad's got a runner. He's got about a 3.5-inch spike. He's like, I'm waiting to enter that.
All right, it's gonna happen. Noah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can still hear you.
Okay, folks. Listening in the comments, tell me, can you hear Noah?
Good news.
Moment of truth.
Good news only.
Moment of truth. For the love of Pete, please work.
Tony, spread the good word.
We got you. Boom. Thanks, Calder.
Oh, my gosh.
Look at that.
Well done.
So,
hey,
at 21 minutes and 26 seconds, we figured it out. So I know where to edit this. All right. So if you're watching live,
there we go.
Maybe you would not want to join the podcast network or ever a podcast because it's a total pain in the ass. We also have probably the most complicated setup in all of the outdoor hunting podcasts.
This is a lot of things right here.
All right, Noah, what kind of story you got for us? We're going to have calls piled up now.
Oh, yeah. Well, just kind of wanted to call in because I think this episode last year was my first call in. So kind of
Oh,
nostalgic.
anniversary.
Hey, wow. Happy 1 year, buddy.
Happy 1 year, big guy.
Glad you decided to stick with us.
Other than that, I mean, grouse still scaring the absolute shit out of me whenever I flush them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've run into those.
Oh, yeah. That is
the thunder
but,
chickens do it for me
Oh, turkeys?
when they come out of roost or when they fly, whatever they're doing. Like,
If you ever don't know there's a turkey above you
It's gonna-
and then you
it's
scare it,
just-
that'll do it too. But grouse, like Noah's saying, man, grouse. If they'll let you get close sometimes, and
you have a heart
I've
attack.
soiled the pants many
It
times.
sounds like a helicopter just decided to take off right next to you. But yeah, you know, just seeing weird lights out there as per usual. No screech owls this year. Last year they got me real bad. Just not knowing what the hell was going on.
Some weird noises, yeah.
Yeah. Just I always feel uneasy, especially when I'm by myself in the dark. It's always that feeling that something's there, you know.
You're telling me my 4-year-old's never going to grow out of it. He won't go upstairs in the middle of the day. I don't want to go upstairs by myself. That it's dark up there. I'm like, it's the upstairs. It's not dark. There's windows. It's the middle of the day. There's nothing scary. He's like, no, I can't. You got to go with me. I'm like, all right.
My son Gus has been afraid of the basement forever since we
Like
moved
Home
into
Alone.
our
Like
new
movie
house.
Home Alone. Yeah.
And I'd always assumed just because it's dark and it's a basement. Like,
Mhm.
when I was a kid, like I was
Yeah,
a little bit
they were
afraid of
creepy.
the basement.
Yep.
But he has a legit excuse because when you open the door to our house, I don't know if you remember, but like our stairs go down, but there's like a straight wall that goes up. So I've got a bear mount from a bear that I got, and it's like not just like a cute little bear, like it's in this crazy charging pose with its claws out and its teeth drawn. So he's just like, I hate the bear. I'm like, buddy, it's just foam. I know, but I still hate it.
Oh, that's great.
So he is not like. So little sister will take him down there. Don't
Oh,
worry, guys.
there you go.
I'm
Gotta
not
have one
scared.
fearless one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on the uneasy part though, man. Like, just even like with real things, like there's predators in certain woods. Like, I mean, there's a bear spotted in Dousman here last season. A buddy sent me a
geez.
video of he was on a property in Rome Pond area, and he sent me a video of a bear right by him. He's like, didn't expect to see that today. I was like, dude, that's right here.
That's very uncommon.
And it sounds like it was probably an adolescent male just covering lots of ground, but nonetheless, like you wouldn't expect to see that here. Go up north though, and it's a whole different story.
Well, for me, it's up north. We there was just a article in Outdoor News that there was a wolf got trapped not like 30 minutes from my property.
Oh shit!
So
yeah.
it's like we know we have wolves up there, and it's just you don't hear much of wolf attacks, but it's there, you know.
It's eerie, nonetheless. Yeah, there's very few recorded instances of a wolf attack, and if it is, it's usually some sort of weird, outlying event or
They
something.
generally steer clear people,
Or-
but it'll happen one day.
Or it's
My
like
words.
I don't know if we talked about it, but if you guys heard that story of the guy that shot the cougar in self-defense out in
Yeah.
Buffalo County.
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't heard that.
Was that this fall or last fall?
That was this last year.
Cougars are the real deal. You can watch.
DNR ruled it a good kill, but 17 yards. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I think he was in a tree stand, if I remember correctly,
Terrifying.
and it saw him and started
Stalking.
doing what the kitties
Stalking
do.
him.
Yep, and like getting low, and it was coming right for him, and he let it get to 17 or 18
You'd have to
yards.
let it get close enough to take a good shot.
Talk about your nerves going. You think a buck gets it going? How about a 130-pound cat that's looking at you like
Let's
you're
wrestle.
the next meow
Let's
mix?
wrestle.
right
It's
there.
game over, man. Well,
With the
dude,
bow too.
good stuff, Noah. If you got anything creepier that comes to mind, call us back, and we look forward to seeing you at the trade show this year again. We're gonna keep it rolling. I'm curious to hear some. Like, I want to hear some. I know I said I don't want to hear
I want
weird
to hear
stuff, but
Tony.
yeah, tell him to call in. He's not on the call queue yet, so tell him to get in the comments there. Tell him to get in here.
Oh man.
This is going to be way more common for the guys who live up in northern Wisconsin or anywhere there's wolves. But like, we know there's wolves in the areas we hunt,
Mhm,
right? And
mhm.
like, it doesn't really bother me, freak me out at all. Like this last weekend, we were up there. The whole family went out shed hunting, and in the snow, there's tracks, right?
Yeah.
And when you see 3 or 4 sets of adult wolf tracks, and they're
very large.
They're
People don't
way bigger than
realize
you
how
think.
big they are.
When I saw them, I was like, and my kids were out there with me.
Yeah,
that made me feel
that's different because they're snacks.
uneasy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh,
Hey
crap.
guys, stay
I don't
close.
like this. I don't like this.
Yeah, wolf might pick off a kid more than would pick off an adult.
Yeah, I look like a kid. So.
Oh my gosh, let's try this again. Says Levi. Levi, you're live. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you guys this time.
And we can hear
Mr.
you.
Carey, we can hear you. It's a miracle.
Sorry about that, bud. I don't know what I couldn't even tell you what's happening tonight.
Hey, it's the little gremlins, man. It happens.
You're right.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's Bill was farting for just messing with us.
Yeah,
look
right.
at this. Hey, you got to be quicker than that.
It's like when you had the landline phone and you heard someone in the other room pick up. You're like,
yeah,
Bill,
are you there?
put the phone. Not me.
So, folks, Levi, who's just called in, Levi is the host of the soon-to-be Western Territory
Used
podcast.
to be Pulling Feathers.
And he's out of Wyoming. He lives it. He's a guide. He hunts these big animals. He does crazy shit. The horse fell down the mountain one time. I'm excited for you to reboot everything, buddy, and under the family podcast that we're growing here. So I'm willing to bet you have you better have a good story if you're calling in.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. One, I just wanted to introduce myself again to everybody, and thanks for bringing me on the podcast network. But I mean, one of the scariest things is waking up in the middle of the night and you feel something moving against your head on the other side of the tent, and you can kind of hear the snorting noises, and you just know it's a grizzly bear. Those will always get me no matter what. And you find the middle of the sleeping bag really quick because you don't want to scoot down too far because, you know, he's just pacing around to the other side of the tent pretty soon. So, yeah, I don't know, just instances like that all the time happen up here.
All the time.
You know, Northwest
This is the
Wyoming,
problem with having you on the show. I can't have you say this too much or my wife is going to be like, you're not going out to hunt with that guy. You're going to die.
Now, I've got a question for you, Levi, about that exact instance, because I just put myself like in that situation. And I'm a guy who I unzip my sleeping bag about halfway when I sleep just because I like a little freedom of movement. Like if a bear is outside your tent, you know it, like do you just like subconsciously zip it up, like pretending like that's going to make a difference?
Like a kid under the covers in the dark.
Do you know what I mean? Like
crawl under your bed.
What do you do?
Yeah.
I've never had it happen.
It's like,
what do you do?
Don't poke the toe out kind of thing. Like, oh, you know,
pull that
boogeyman's
toe
gonna
back
grab you
in
from
real.
underneath the bed. Yeah, you end up sleeping with your sidearm pretty often. That and your pepper spray, but I don't know. I'd rather use the lead
with my rifle and sidearm.
Pepper, honestly.
Sorry, say that again.
What's that?
I'd be sleeping with my rifle and sidearm, and I'd have it all right there.
Yeah, it's typically like that. You know, you've got it right underneath the pillow where your hand knows exactly where that thing's at all the time, and then right next to it's your flashlight too. You've always got to have both of them and stuff. Because we've also had that instance happen, and you thought it was a bear, and you went to unzip the tent door to chase the bear off, and your horse came untied and is staring right at you in the door of the tent. That wouldn't be a good thing. There goes your ride.
Yeah, that'd be the wrong move right there. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Having
a bear that close
we've got
is
some
else.
pictures of us packing out an elk in the dark and stuff, and they're old, like, you know, the kind of Polaroid camera where you'd send it in and develop it later on and stuff. We'd taken pictures of us putting all the elk meat on this horse. We went home and got the pictures all developed, and we started looking at our pictures, and we're like, what the heck? And there's eyes from a grizzly bear on the other side of the horse that we never saw that bear once. And he
that's
just kind of stood there on the edge of the trees waiting for us to finish up, dude. Oh, man, yeah, that's creepy stuff for sure.
That's like exactly what happens in like a horror movie, right? Like you have a flash camera and like they hit the flash and all of a sudden something you didn't know was there.
Well,
grizzly
we had
bear?
Giannis.
That's exactly it.
Oh my!
We had Giannis on the podcast. I don't know, maybe a year ago or something like that. And he had that bear story he shared with us, where it's charged right there at their camp. You know, like pretty crazy.
Didn't the guy jump on the bear and like ride it?
I think there's something like that seemed to have happened. It wasn't that eloquent, but I think it was more like, oh my God, I'm on a bear. It just happened really quick. And I think we have the whole story on our YouTube. And I think he shared it elsewhere on their podcast and stuff too, but it was intense. Like you described, like suddenly it happened very, very fast. Like they didn't know the bear was there. Boom, the bear was there, and boom, it was there on them. Like it charged in and closed the gap really fast.
They don't give you time to think.
They're quick.
For all that muscle,
not last year, but the year prior, we had a bear charge the pickup. We're driving down through some, kind of like close trees, down a little 2-track, just kind of killing the midday lull, so to speak. And, we get down to this little spot and you just hear this freight train coming through the trees. And I look to my left and here comes this grizzly bear charging the pickup. And that was the only time I wish I would have had like actual like manual windows, because I think I could have gotten them up faster. But I was freaking out.
Yeah, I'd imagine you would have got them up real fast if you'd been cranking on that
crazy
thing. Oh man.
Yeah, but it was basically a bluff charge. He stopped about 10, 15 yards from the truck, but for him to actually run at the truck kind of surprised me. They usually wouldn't do something like that, but we went up the road a little bit and kind of looked back through the binos at him, and he ended up having like a calf moose that he had killed, and that's what was going on. He was defending his kill. So
I've listened to a lot of like bear attack stories, and like I just find these things interesting. So I listen to a lot of stories about this or read a lot of stories about it. And most of the bears, especially grizzly bears that are like, aggressive toward people, almost always have something wrong with them. Like something wrong with their teeth, or like something that's causing them impending pain that make them really ornery and more aggressive. And like a lot of times it happens in like places where people hike because they're like eating garbage, like people throwing food away, and they eat garbage, get something stuck in their gums, they're between their teeth, glass bits or whatever. And it just makes them really, really, aggressive and like unsettled.
Yeah.
And that has an effect, but getting close to one of their kills obviously is going to probably have a similar effect.
Yeah. Getting close to one of their kills or getting between a sow and her cub is usually like a guarantee to have something happen. Those are the two main things that you usually hear about around here is somebody gets between a sow and her cub, or you're close to their kill and stuff like that. So it's always keep your head on a swivel when you start smelling things and stuff like that. And it's just you're always at risk. It's an inherent risk of being out in the outdoors, and you just be careful, and that's that. So can't let it hold you back.
That's true.
I'm just thinking. There's a book I read. What the hell was it called? It's a book about American history as told through walking the Appalachian Trail, and A Walk in the Woods. It's called, by Bill Bryson, something like that. They made a movie of it. I think the movie is terribly cheesy, and I won't watch it. Like they just made it terrible. Like, dude, I was like, no. I saw the preview. I was like, oh, I was kind of excited. I was like, fuck that. I'm not watching this shit. The book was good. The American history that came out of that was really neat. But the guy had a legitimate, the author had a legitimate irrational fear of bears. And the way he spoke about his fear of bears was pretty comical. And he went on this freaking, journey on the Appalachian Trail. And I don't remember. I don't think he had any bear encounters, but it was pretty funny because he's like, at some point you just got to go. Like, whatever. What am I going to do? Not go on this fucking thing because I'm afraid of the thing that might happen with a bear. And he almost didn't because of that. Yeah. But it was a good book. I actually like the book. But I won't watch the movie though. Not like Into the Wild. Into the Wild was a good book. Into the Wild was a good movie.
It was.
They did a good job. This was not that. It was like the cheesiest Hollywood bullshit thing I've ever witnessed.
It's nowhere
like
near
Cocaine Bear.
We did.
I've not seen that.
You don't want to run across one of those bears. Well, Levi, we got another caller on. Thanks for calling in, buddy. We're excited to get your podcast live. Everyone that, if you want to learn more about Levi, go check out Pulling Feathers for now. And as it changes and morphs, we'll be promoting it here. So
cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a good night, Levi.
David Nowakowski. Hey, bud, you're live on the show.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Dave?
Oh, I'm doing great. Just sitting here relaxing, listening to the show.
Sorry for all the technical. Still give me thumbs up every 4 seconds on my face. I don't know what it's doing.
Yeah, I noticed when it keep on popping on the screen, just a thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
Like, I don't know what's happening.
Those are all the positive reviews we're getting. Every time you see a thumb, that's a 5-star review.
Right.
Tell your friends, guys.
Yeah.
Been slaying the shed, so
yeah,
you're gonna be a good candidate for the contest when it launches. But hopefully you got some fun. You not to age you here, David. I know you're not a young buck, maybe at heart. You're a seasoned
At heart,
woodsman, but I hope that, given your seasoned nature of existence on this planet, I'm hopeful that you have some really great stories for us.
Well, actually, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm 57, so I've been spending, let's say, past 40 plus years out in the woods, either back home where I used to live or out in Hennepin Canal. You pick a time of year, a season, weather. I've been out in it, and I have never experienced anything weird, even though I've heard stories. Because of I've heard stories about there's ghost stories about some of the old lock gender houses that are still existing on the canal. So I'd go out in the middle of the night. Could be raining, could be snow. I'd go out. Yep, nope, nothing. To even things like there's supposed to have been years back a Black Panther walking around out there somewhere. So in my 20s, what do? I decide I'm going to go out, check it out. Yep, never experienced anything weird. So,
David, you gotta have a big pair on you. I don't know.
I guess so. Or it's just,
I think those
strange nature I get. If there was a cougar or a bear or something out there, I'd try to befriend it, bring it home, and call it George or something. It's like, that's my pet.
See, but that's why it doesn't work on you, David, because those things only happen to people who've got a little bit of fear in them. Because then they can turn that little squeak of a whatever into, oh my God, it was a ghost. That doesn't work on you. You gotta have some fun. Be a little more scared next time you go to the woods.
Yeah, maybe I'll try. Yeah, even if there was a ghost, I've heard all kinds of ghost stories and that. And I'd go up to him and say, hey, dude, come on, sit down. Let's have a beer. Tell me your story.
I love it.
Some like World War I.
I love it.
Sitting there on a log, smoking a stogie. Who are you talking to, David? My buddy.
Well, so yeah, I got to make a few more years left. Maybe I will experience something, odd and bizarre out there.
I mean, hopefully not, because it could sound like Derek's got some stories that he shared on the show before. So I mean, anybody that has listened in the past may have picked up on some of the stories Derek shared last time. I've had one that was shared with me by the guys at Exodus. My cousin has one that he shared that's terrifying. I've heard of enough of them from close, like not like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, like people that I personally know.
I had a weird thing happen. I don't think it was weird. It was weird for us just because we didn't know the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got a story that we can talk about later if you want. That was just a weird thing that like literally I was like really kind of scared about. But it was one of those things where I'm sure there was a completely rational explanation, but at the time I didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seemed like, holy crap, we better get out of here. Kind of thing.
Well, David, I hope I am more like you and don't have any of these encounters. I would prefer to not have them. I don't know that I would go seeking them out. Maybe my younger self probably would have, like you mentioned, like, oh, let's go we'll find that cougar. We'll find that, like a bunch of idiots when you're young. Young men are prone to doing dumb things. It usually creates a great story,
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks for the call in. Are you planning to come to Wisconsin for the open season trade show? Or I think we hit the Iowa Deer Classic last year. Which one were you at?
I don't know about the Iowa Deer Classic. Illinois Deer Expo comes up in March 8th, 9th, 10th. So I'm going to go down there on a Saturday and spend a day down there and check it out and have some fun. And
cool. I'm sure our buddy Brian Douglas will be down there with Good Sit Mobile.
Yeah.
Say hi to Brian.
Yeah, I'll have to check him out.
Got a lot of great products. He's a pretty smart, crafty guy. Very, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Ingenuitive? That's not a word.
No, but he is. He's got an engineering mind. Just David, if you see Brian at Good Sid Mobile, just make some sort of slight to him. Be like, just wondering why that Derek always finds more sheds than you. Just say something like that, and that'll get his bottom burning. That'll get his bottom burning.
Well, yeah, sure will. Yep.
Well, thanks for calling, David. You have a good night. Enjoy your evening. Thanks for tuning in and calling in as always.
Yep. Good night, guys.
All right, we'll see you soon, David.
Derek, tell me the story.
The spooky story?
Yes. This is not one I've heard before, is it?
I don't think so. No, I don't think I've
Tell me
said
about
this
the one
one
with the
before.
relative.
The relative I told you
Heard about that one.
The ghost story.
Yes.
This was just like a weird. I'm sure there's an explanation. So, up where my parents' cabin is, there's a couple different things. It's in Townsend, Wisconsin. There's a little area in the Nicolay National Forest, right off Highway 32. It's known as like Quartz Hill or Quartz Mountain, but it's right off like a 4-wheeler trail. There's hiking trails that go up there. People go up there all the time. They take like buses of people who are touring or like geological dig sites, and it's known for having all kinds of quartz. So like there's little spots you can go up there. Some cliffs. It's not like crazy altitude and that kind of stuff, but it's like rocky hillside, bluffs, like 20-foot little cliffs here and there, and like you can see where people dig and like look for cool stones. So we've always gone up there. When I was a kid, we used to bring our little shovels and go look for quartz rocks and stuff. This is also very close to Carter, where there's the casino. Potawatomi Native American tribe is up from that area. So I'm assuming it could have had something to do with that. If it didn't, my apologies. Not trying to be offensive in any way, but that's all that we could come up with. But I'd gone up there with my parents, and it was, I don't even remember the time of year. It was either spring or fall. Leaves were coming down, or were mostly down. And we went up and we're checking out, all these little dig sites, and we decided to climb all the way up to the top of the big mountain where there's like a cool overlook. Mm-hmm. And when we got up there, close to the overlook, we started seeing these weird wraps on these trees. It was like colored fabric. It was like wrapped in this really elaborate pattern, almost like braided, but all the way around the tree. And there was like some substance tucked into the top of it.
Little ganj?
But Eric, it was everywhere. I'm talking like hundreds of trees wrapped.
Wow. Okay.
In this stuff, and it's hanging, it's blowing in the wind. So it's wrapped downward, and then like the fringes are hanging, and maybe somebody knows what this is, like a ceremonial thing or like a ritual thing.
But either way, it felt eerie.
But all of a sudden at first it was like, oh, this is interesting. And then like as you walked in, like you looked and you saw it for like 100 yards.
We just have to enter an episode
it made
of,
you
Stranger
just wonder
Things.
like what was somebody doing to do this? Like what state of mind were they in to do this? Hopefully, like in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, maybe this was like some cool like changing of the seasons thing, like people come up. But like after a little bit of like seeing how extensive this was, you were just like, all the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, I don't know that we should be here. Like maybe spiritually we're interrupting something, maybe we're somewhere we shouldn't be, but like I really did feel super uneasy at the time. It was like, this is
that
normal?
Feeling, I understand that feeling that
I shouldn't be here.
That it's like you almost enter a fight or flight.
Yeah.
Response. Did you know there's something called the challenge response? There's fight, flight, or challenge.
I did not know this. Tell me more.
Challenge response is when like you get that similar feeling, but the challenge response is like that energy converts into an adrenaline rush for you to deal with it. In some way. So like if you have like stage fright, a challenge response would give you it takes all of those uneasy, queasy feelings in your stomach, and it gives you what you need to deal with the situation. So like it's almost like fight, essentially.
Yeah.
Like you're getting that feeling because you're able to take that energy, convert it into useful, tangible things for your body to, like now you have heightened senses, your blood vessels literally get bigger. There's more oxygen flowing through you. It's a challenge response. It's
you're thinking faster.
It's
you're
wild,
responding
man.
faster.
You get into that situation and suddenly you're like, no, I fucking got this. Like you just deal with it.
Dude, you figure out a way to teach challenge response. You're a millionaire, right?
It's
like
wild.
Think of how many people have anxiety issues and are like treated for anxiety.
I
Like,
got very
anxiety is
obsessed
your
with challenge
response to
response for a
problem,
while.
right? Like,
I wish I had challenge response with bugs.
dude, that's what I was gonna say. If I could
I
teach
don't
myself to
have it.
handle that better,
I have blackout response to bugs.
I have oh shit response to
It's like,
bugs.
what'd you do? What'd you do? Did you miss it? I don't know. I thought everything was good. I don't understand what happened. In that second, like my brain goes, "Bah," and then I don't know. I felt good, and then I don't know what happened. And then I got through it. I'm like, I think it was fine, but I don't know. Now clearly it wasn't. So I was shocked when I saw both of these deer dead. I couldn't fucking believe it.
That it actually happened.
Yeah, because I thought for sure. I blacked out the spot when it all went down. You know, like oh.
And for anybody who's listening who's a newer hunter, you may think like, oh, over time, like it just, I'll just figure it out. Well,
People don't change.
I've been hunting for a long time, and this season is a definition of not having it figured out because I have messed it up on more deer this season than.
Calder, you got to call in and share the story, man. Come on, you can't just leave that in the comments.
You leave something a little spicy in the comments?
Yeah, he did. He said, I thought I found a dead guy in the woods this year.
That's always been a fear of mine, though, is finding.
I didn't meet either just
a
put an
body.
article out about that where like hunters actually help
find more.
Not purposefully, but like because we spend so much time outdoors with trail cams, cell cams, we're out looking for sheds, all this stuff. Like it sounds like hunters actually have helped solve a lot of crimes or missing persons.
You're welcome.
I hope that never happens.
I've thought of that before, and that
we find a lot of dead deer. We do find a lot of dead things. We find a lot of balloons. What's with the balloons? Can someone explain that to me? I actually don't know.
Balloons is awesome.
But there's like a
why is it
symbol?
Funny? Yeah, so like it's
I know we find them because they come down from the sky. I get it.
I think Dan Involve actually kind of had the theory, and I think he is absolutely correct with it. But it's all about the wind and wind currents. So like not all balloons, but like certain balloons, right? They enter into whatever areas, like as they're deflating and they're like coming down, they've lost they're almost like neutrally buoyant, right? So they're getting pulled in whatever direction. They're no longer rising on their own, creating their own direction. So they're getting pulled into whatever wind tunnels or like spiraling, circling winds, like what as a hunter you would call like bad areas for you. And like that's why you find balloons. Like the idea is like
by the time it gets down to that level,
buck bedding areas. Oh man, I found all the sign. And there was a balloon there. There's 2 balloons there. It's because they're in areas where the wind is the terrain is causing wind to circle or spiral or thermal, and then like that's where they're landing. Well, that's where deer have advantage because obviously if the wind is swirling in that spot or pulling down in that spot, they can smell more than just one direction. They can smell all around.
They're getting more intel from the sky.
Yeah, which is really weird because up in the Nicolet National Forest, how many balloons have you ever had up there, Eric? A lot? I went scouting. My mom was with me. This is like 5-10 years ago. I don't know. And we went up to the spot I wanted to scout. And all of a sudden we started finding all these old rubs. I'm like, oh, this is looking good. A couple new rubs. I'm like, oh, I'm going to hang a trail cam here. Also, my mom's like, look, a balloon. Another balloon. We found 3 balloons within 30 yards in the middle of the National Forest, like miles from a paved road, right? 3 balloons. I hung a camera in that spot, and this was the year we had that huge windstorm up there.
Okay.
But I went back, found the camera after the windstorm. The first picture on there was a 6.5-year-old buck named Blondie.
I thought you told me it was going to be a balloon.
It was a balloon. It was a guy selling balloons.
Fucking clown.
It was a guy
you want to talk about something
whacking
creepy?
off in the woods to balloons. We wrapped it all up. You see what we did there? Circle around.
Really wrapped it around the tree. I don't feel like I should be
seen
here.
The balloon.
Oh my God. So Calder, you're live. Can you explain why you thought you found a dead guy? Like what's going on here? Unpack the story, buddy.
Yeah, how you guys doing tonight? Absolutely.
We're good.
Right,
we're all right. Yeah, of course. We're doing our thing.
Good.
Talking to you guys. This is
so good. Yeah, so this year I was out hunting public land in the Adirondacks, and I actually just went out with a couple of friends of ours, and we all split up and went in different directions out on public land. And here in New York State, you have to either wear a blaze orange hat or a vest, a certain amount of square inches of orange. So, I was out walking in the woods, hunting, had my orange on. It's a good, 4 or 5 weeks into rifle season. So, the days of confusing bow season for gun season and forgetting your orange are kind of behind you. So I was out just walking in the woods, walking on public land, walked probably about 4 or 5 miles, walked through a timber cut, and came up to this clearing, and I saw a big blob of green just hunched up against a rock, and no orange on, nothing. And so at first I thought, what did I just stumble on? And I stood there, I looked, I studied this blob of green and almost pulled my scope up to check it out, but I pulled up my binoculars instead. And there was a older gentleman just leaning up against this huge boulder with no orange on. He just had his green wool camouflage, a dark brown hat, and a pair of black sunglasses on. And he was just leaning up against that tree that rock with his rifle, and he wasn't moving. And so I thought, if this guy's been out here in this position and he doesn't have any orange on, is he out here from last year? Is he out here just breaking the law? What's going on?
Either way, it's a sketchy outcome. Go on.
Yeah. So I walked up a little bit further, and eventually I just got to the point where I just stood up so that I knew, if he was alive and well, then he was going to see me there. And I stood up and put my hand up in the air, and his head snapped over to the right and looked directly at me. And
creepy. That's on the violin.
That's
does
when
that
you
sharp
knew it
sound.
was a zombie. It wasn't a dead guy, it was a zombie.
Exactly. So I waved to him, and he gave me the okay sign, and I turned and walked the other way and let him be. And
you know what Greg would have done in that situation? Greg would have been like, "Where's your blaze orange? Huh? I've witnessed him do that. Just so you know.
I just want to clarify, Calder. What was the okay sign? Did he wave? Did he give you a thumbs up?
A wave and a nod.
Just a wave, kind of let me know that he knew that I was there, and then I turned in the other direction and let him do his thing. And I just basically wanted to get away from him as much as I could at that point in time.
Well, that's nice. In New York, they're nice. Here in Wisconsin, another hunter sees you. Their okay sign is they walk 50 yards closer to you, drop their drawers, take a shit in your shooting lane, and then walk away. I've had that happen to me in the National Forest.
What?
Yeah.
Being up here in the Adirondacks, I've never even seen another person on public land where I hunt. And so when I walked up into this clearing and saw a person leaning up against a boulder, sitting on the ground against a boulder with no orange on and dark sunglasses, and he was an older gentleman, the worst case scenario just kind of started going through my head. And funny part about that is I ended up running into this guy a couple days later on my way back up in there to do some snow tracking. It was actually the day I killed my buck.
I remember I saw that story of yours. That was a really cool story, by the way.
Yeah. So he said, "Yeah, I remember seeing you that day." He goes, "Yeah, I didn't have any orange on, yada, yada, yada." And, that's kind of, I guess it's the old timers way. You kind of do what you want. And, if they get caught, they probably can get their way out of it or, somehow.
Oh, did I forget my orange again? Jeez, I thought this was, I'm colorblind now that I'm 92.
It's a damn cataracts.
Exactly. Yeah, and he probably was grandfathered in for the blaze orange law anyway. So.
Oh, grandfather. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Of course you were.
Good point, Calder. Calder, this is totally random.
So,
this is totally random in a long shot, but I know the Adirondacks are huge. But do you know
where this tree is?
of a gentleman named Zach Gosson or Gosson?
Zach Gosson? I don't.
Okay. Just a long shot.
Is he local here?
He's a Adirondack hunter, upstate New York. Ran I think it was his personal Instagram page, but ran a lot of trail cameras, really good. Like I would say photography mindseted guy. Cause like he would set up these cameras and capture some incredible footage of Adirondack
Don't you run a
wildlife.
trail cam page still?
Used to. Long.
Is it still around or no?
Wisconsin Whitetail Trail Cam? Yeah, it is.
But it's not you?
I mean, Dave and I started it.
Is it still active? Is
It's
it from that?
kind of active-ish. It had like 11 or 12,000 people following the Facebook page, and we just haven't done anything with it. In like
You got to change it to
a long
cell
time.
cam now. That's why.
Oh, the cell cam page. Oh, I just thought I'd ask just in case it'd be a wild
Yeah,
coincidence.
no, I mean, if he's still around this area, feel free to shoot me his contact information or give him mine or whatever. I'm like you guys know, I got myself into hunting and I'm self-taught, and I'm always looking for people around here that I can get out with or go out and hunt or whatever. But
he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. I met him personally and knew him through Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And when I worked in upstate New York for my summer job, he actually reached out and was like, "Hey, I saw you're in upstate New York. You want to meet up?" And we had a couple of beers, and really, really nice guy.
It's cool.
So
yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, no, I thought I'd call in after you said
Called you out.
to give you a call and let you know about that story. Yeah, it called me out, absolutely. So that's probably one of the creepiest things. I mean, I saw that guy just sitting there at the bottom of that boulder, and I thought, oh my God, I just found a dead guy.
yeah, I can see where you.
Thankfully, it wasn't. So yeah. Anyways, I'll jump off here, let you guys continue, and I'll keep listening. But good talking with you.
Good, bud. Thank you.
Have a good one, Calder.
Yeah, you too.
I don't have a lot of weird stuff.
I told you the story about opening day, my first opening day with my dad. I thought he got shot.
Well, that's terrifying.
Did I tell you this? Did we talk about this?
Terrifying. That's less spooky than it is.
No, this was
terrifying.
not spooky.
No, that's just terrifying.
I was absolutely terrified. I don't know. I apologize if you heard the story before.
I don't think I mean, who
my
knows?
dad
We
would
could
be
share the same
very-
story several times.
Dad, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not putting this on you. It was the first year you took someone with you, so like, I get
first
it.
year you took someone.
No,
yes, but that's the most fucking
no
dangerous
kidnapping
game.
was happening.
Jesus Christ.
No,
I'm just
and
kidding, Jared.
he'll tell you it's his biggest buck he's ever shot up north, and probably the one he talks about the least because he just doesn't like the story. But it was a pretty wild day. I was 12 years old. My first opening day ever.
Okay. What year is this then? That would have been like
98.
Okay.
98, I believe.
Good math recall there.
I just remember from the old picture of the first bow buck I shot, which was that
Okay.
year. And I remember it printed on the bottom, 98. 98. And Dad had trained me for bow hunting. So I was very well trained, patient, just wait for the shot. Wait. I had a bunch of buck encounters during bow season, waited, and it always worked out. Like they came closer, everything worked out. I didn't know anything was different during gun season.
Go on.
Everything okay?
Yep. I'll just fix this as you talk.
So we get down to this blind Dad had scouted this awesome spot, point of a swamp where these deer are going to come to escape, gun pressure. And we went down there like a week or two beforehand. He had me like drag a scent rag, mostly just to go look at all the rubs that were around. And like I did my walk, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And he's like, got him. Like he's like, so he did great on that. We sat in this blind together, and right away at the crack of light, all of a sudden I said, "Dad, I see deer," and I put my gun up, and there's two big bucks coming down the hill in a hurry toward the point of the swamp. And I'm like, "Dad, it's bucks. There's two bucks." He's like, "Okay. Get ready. Like," and he meant like to shoot him, like shoot him. But I'm just like watching him. I remember just watching him through my scope. They're like 90 yards away. Now, like, oh
Totally
my God, I
doable,
would have
yeah.
shot the
Shit out of him.
first
Yeah, of
second I
course.
saw him, But I'm just watching him. They go behind this little swale, and I'm like, "Dad, I don't see him anymore." He's like, "Well, what happened?" I was like, "I don't know. I just walked behind the hill." And all of a sudden, where they popped out, going into the swamp, there's like a huge blowdown. A pine tree had blown down, and the first buck popped out right there. I'm like, "There, he's right here." So he grabs my shoulders and turns me, and he's like, "He's right there. Shoot him. Well, he had taught me to look for horizontal lines. That's how you spot a deer. Timber's all tall. Well, he's standing right next to the down tree. I can't see him. He's like 80 yards
This is
away.
right along.
I just I can't pick him up. He's not moving. He's looking at us. I can't pick him up. I'm like, I don't see him. He's like, "He's right there." And he's like, try to give me every chance to shoot this deer. Finally, he's like, "I'm going to shoot it." And I was like, "Go for it." So he throws his gun up. Boom. As soon as he shoots, I see the deer whirl away, runs off. And I'm like, "Oh my God, it looked huge." So he's like, "Yeah, I think it was big." So he runs off. We have guys that we saw come in with their headlights that are kind of like all around us. On two different sides, guys came in, and he's worried. The deer ran into the swamp, but there's guys sitting along the edge.
That someone's taking another shot at
He
it.
doesn't want anyone else to get the deer. So he's like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in right away. I'm going to start looking to see if I hit it. We had like semi-open lane along the edge of the swamp. He said, just keep your gun pointed down here. If I go in and it comes out, just shoot it. Like, just take it down. So he went over there, and I see him, wave. He's like, I'll be back in 10 minutes. I'm going to go look and see if there's blood. And he started trailing it, and he had found blood. And he started going, and he did what hunters do, not what, a dad bringing his kid for the first time. Like that wasn't in his mind because he hadn't never brought a kid.
Yeah.
So he started tracking, and I think 3 hours had gone by, and he had jumped the deer, shot it again, kept following.
You're hearing
it.
gunshots thinking maybe someone's
So
shooting this deer.
all I've heard, if you've ever had a, opening
Yeah, I
rifle
understand.
season anywhere, it was gunshots and gunshots and gunshots.
And your dad's not coming back, not
I
coming back,
was
not coming
10
back.
minutes, and all of a sudden I'm freaking out, like absolutely freaking out. Pretty positive my dad's dead. Like he's gotten shot. I've never experienced a gun season before. I don't know if it's normal to hear this much shooting. Like, oh my God, everyone's shooting my dad. Like, what's happening? So I ended up like yelling for help, like
Oh, shit.
yelling
Yeah,
and
you're
yelling
freaking
for
out.
help.
Yeah.
Like I was crying. I didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden, like my dad pops out, comes back. Oh my gosh, he's so sorry, so sorry. Had chased the deer, jumped the deer, and like kept going after it. And we were walking out later that night. We sat the rest of the day, and everything was fine. And we were walking out. A couple guys that were kind of around us, we're walking out, and one of the guys was like, "Yeah, are you that kid that was yelling for help?" I was like, "Yeah." My dad's like, "You heard a kid yelling for help? You come and help him?" So, well, no, I didn't know if like he really needed help or not.
What gave you the thought that he didn't? He was saying, "Don't help."
Just don't help him. But no, that was
That's a weird thing because that's a psychological thing. There's a story in Psychology 101 in
3
college that
hours.
talks about the story of a lady getting stabbed in like Central Park or some shit, and she was yelling for help, literally getting murdered, and people all around were witnessing
Heard
this, but no one went to help because they all assumed someone would.
Yeah.
So then they wouldn't. So maybe that guy's like, well, someone will fucking help the kid. I mean, I don't know. Some of the guys around here.
I'm gonna climber.
Yeah, I'm not
climbing down. Sorry.
Someone help.
Yeah, but that was a scary 3 hours.
That's scary, dude. Really? I mean, shit. I could, as a dad, and you're a dad, now I'd be like, oh, buddy, I'm so sorry.
That's what he said.
Like,
yeah, and
like, oh my, you just feel, your heart would feel so. I'd also
I know
say,
where
like,
his head was.
it's also a really good reminder to know that your kids actually give a shit about you and care about you. Because as a teenager, I'm sure you were a shithead in some cases. Your dad's like, oh, this kid does fucking love me and needs me. I'm wanted as a father. Win. I have to make him think I'm dead, but that's how it goes. Like,
You're welcome
to put some lightheartedness into the
for
mode.
reminding you how much you like me. No, we ended up finding it a few days later.
Jeez.
And it was his biggest deer he ever got.
That's
up north.
crazy.
Yeah.
Let me see this. So you found this tonight. I'm just gonna. This is bigger than that one, but not that's it. Well, maybe.
No. So that's the one. Eric,
I mean, this is a shooter for me all day long.
2 years ago, he
I
looked like this.
I saw this one on
He
camera.
was just small.
So he's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive.
That's great.
2 years ago.
Next
in
year
that
he'll be the one
spot,
you can shoot.
I had walked in. Yeah, well, I would have probably shot him this year. But next year, yeah, for sure, I would like to shoot him. But this is the one I walked in, came around, looped around the spot, and found
You're
that
just chomping
tree
on
you
the-
didn't
yeah.
like. Yep.
Oh,
That had the
pain in
little rub
ass.
on it from
Yeah.
going in, and I set up in that tree, and I heard that deer cough as I was setting up my stick. I could hear, and I had never
Right.
heard a deer cough. And I was like, oh, this is what Zach Fehrenbaugh's talking about, because he always talks about deer coughing. And I heard him cough, and he was bedded like 60 yards away, and he ended up coming right on the trail that had the little scrape, the little rub on it. He came right underneath me, and I think I got a bunch of footage of him.
He did, yeah.
And he came right underneath. This is the same buck. And then the next night, you went in there, and we tried to get you on him, but he wasn't there that night.
No, who knows where they.
But kind of cool.
It was cool.
This was not that far from that.
I did
spot.
see a doe that evening. She was quite the distance away, headed away from me from a further distance, but at least I saw something. And I was like, oh, here we go. Okay, it's not happening.
Yep.
That's how it goes. I think no more callers in queue for now. Man, I was hoping we'd get more
Some weird stories.
weird, creepy shit. Last year we got a ton.
These were all pretty realistic stories.
Yeah, I mean, David's like, look,
We didn't
I
talk
haven't
about
seen
dog
shit.
man shit. You know, like David's.
Yeah, we didn't lead into it properly.
David's like,
Our
dog
fault.
man. How much percentage are you dog? How much percentage are you man?
Why are you
Tell me
dog
your
man?
story.
Why? Tell me.
Love
What
it.
are you doing?
Love it.
The Wendigo stuff here in Wisconsin around like the Holy Hill area. There's some real stories that happen. There was a story that I think I've talked about before. Like it was on the news. Back when DNR would pick up carcasses, it was like a documented, legit story. The guy had his face blurred out. He refused to give up his name because he didn't want to be ridiculed, because he knew how ridiculous it sounded.
The story would sound.
He put the carcass, a deer carcass, in the back of the pickup truck, walked around, got in the car, started the ignition, writing up his stuff, and in that moment, in the rear view mirror, caught a glimpse of something. But he felt the tailgate of the truck
Like something
go down
jumped
and
into the
compressed
truck.
it, and then lifted a full-grown doe deer, not a fawn, like that's fucking heavy.
110.
Jumped out of the
120
truck
pounds?
with the deer and ran off and ran off. I don't know about you, but anytime I've ever fucking dragged a deer ever in my life, I'm not running.
I'd love to be able to
I
run
can't
training.
jump into a truck, pick up a deer, and run off. Like, unless it's Josh Bomar, who's
Could have been.
like, psychotically fit. It's a little disturbing, the amount of veins.
That
being
might
said,
be the scariest thing we've talked about.
No offense.
Sorry, Josh.
But I don't know another being that's capable of that. So the guy got interviewed, didn't give up his name, didn't give up his face, like all of this. I'm sure someone could have figured it out because he fucking worked for the DNR. Or like, I think he was contracted by the DNR to go pick up roads.
Yeah.
But it was a news story. It was on the radio. It was like a whole thing. He's like, a beast picked up the frickin' deer and ran off. And he's like, I don't know, Wendigo, dogman, werewolf, whatever you want to call it. He's like, I know what I saw. It scared the shit out of me. I got the hell out of there, and I never looked back. And the deer's gone. Like they never found the deer. A relative of mine driving through a similar area. There's also called the Beast of Bray Road. So,
Yeah, you talked about that. That was something I had never
saw a
heard
deer
of.
running across the road, stopped, like they didn't hit the deer, and then they saw something chasing it on two legs, looking like a fucking werewolf. And they were like, "Boom! Face is white, go get burned rubber." Got out of there. Then they got their sensitive, like, let's go back, kind of like David.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
Let's see it.
Go back. Nothing. Couldn't find nothing.
Now, where is that?
Bray Road. It's I forget.
I got that part.
I do. I know that's an asinine remark. I wasn't trying to be. Google it. I don't know. But so then me and my buddies, one night we got all hopped up on the story and we're like, let's go look for the Beast of Bray Road. It was late. We weren't drunk or anything like that, of course. And we were driving just around Holy Hill. We had a Shiner.
Oh, it's close to Holy Hill.
Yeah, we had a Shiner, so we're shining for stuff. We're seeing all sorts of like raccoons and deer and coyotes in the fields and stuff. And then we were driving. No shit, deer crossed the road. We about shit our pants. We're like, stop the fucking car. This is it. Like my eyes get water when I tell stories like this. I can
see that.
freaked out.
Yeah.
So I'm rubbing my eye all night. And I'm like, this is gonna happen. There's gonna be something chasing it. Something's gonna be chasing the deer. And then that never did happen. We were terrified though, because we were scaring ourselves.
Yeah.
Like
You were
because
getting
of the
amped up.
stories.
Yeah.
We were all hopped up on
That's
them.
when
We
it's easy to like turn something that's nothing.
and
into-
nothing happened. Nothing happened. Like there was no story for us.
We had a
Didn't have that
terrifying
encounter.
event that had to do with Shining. Not something that we
Like The Shining, the movie.
no the Shining
You're
Deer.
Johnny!
We used to go shining deer all the time up at the cabin, and there's a couple local spots, the few fields that are around on private. And this guy must have got sick of people shining in his field because it was like a private field, right?
Sure.
But you could drive
But
by.
it's fun to shine. Like,
And
who
shine
cares?
light.
Like, whatever.
So
yeah.
the guy, I shit you not, was hiding in the fucking bushes in the ditch. My
That's
dad
some next
turns
level
on
weird
the
shit.
light and he jumps out like he's not saying like, "Hey, please don't shine here." He's doing it to
He's
scare
already.
the
He's
shit.
already.
So he, "Oh, no, you can't shine here," and and me and my mom. And my dad is like, opening
He's
the
the man
door,
of the
I'm going
family
to kick your right. And we're like, get back in the car.
Don't go ahead
And dad's like 2 steps out of the road, like going to kick his ass. And it was this crazy guy who's well known up there, but he literally was hiding in the freaking bushes in the ditch, jumping out and yelling at people shining in the field, and it worked. I was scared. I never wanted to shine there again. It worked,
Dude,
it worked.
for Halloween, I think I was a freshman or sophomore in high school. We dressed up as ninjas in all black. Did the whole, you know how you do your shirt, make it into a ninja mask, tie it around your head, put up, fold the eyelids, all that jazz. We hid on the roof of my house, and it was overlooked in this really unique way, like right at the stoop of like the patio, whatever, where the candy was. So any kid that was to take one, and if I saw him taking one, Bosh! Dude, it was the best Halloween as a young high schooler that I enjoyed. I scared the shit out of so many kids trying to steal more candy than they deserved. It was pretty epic.
That's like it's almost a moral high ground, but not.
No,
but
it wasn't good.
But
it was great. I mean, whatever. Like your high school. Like I'm
Oh.
not sure my parents ever figured out that's what was happening.
I don't think we trick or treated much in high school, but I remember one year, me and my two idiot buddies. This must have been freshman year. Like we were pretty young, but we got a whole bunch of those fake blood packets you could get. You know.
Yeah.
And then we pretended we were trick or treating, and when someone was like sitting, you know how some people sit outside like in the driveway in lawn
Yep.
chairs. We'd only go to those houses because we didn't really want candy, but we'd like jog up, and, oh, okay, you know, and then like we'd pretend to trip, smash the blood packet, and like, oh my god, and then blood would be like on their driveway, and they thought it was real, so we were just tormenting harmless, like really nice
that's
people,
not good. Yeah.
and just being a bunch of
God, high school
assholes.
boys are the worst humans in the world.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
why
like
we
that
did
song,
that? Why we thought
Teenagers
that was
Scare the
fun.
Living Shit Out of Me. That's a song, and I agree with that song now. And like, it's terrible.
Now I teach teenagers,
Yeah.
so I have to deal with them.
You're like handing out blood packets in class.
So guys, have
Dude,
fun
you
with
wanna
these.
hear a good
Be
idea?
responsible.
Have you heard about the $2 holler? Huh?
Oh.
Don't do that.
Yes.
I know your students listen to this episode. This is podcast. It's probably not great.
I hope they enjoy it.
You're gonna get some pranks
Tomorrow they're gonna
in
be
your
like,
classroom. They're
Malcor,
gonna be
blood
like, I
packet.
bashed my face on this table. I'm bleeding everywhere.
See the chair falling thing? You
Yeah.
should have had the
and
blood
then you
packet.
pick up a $20 bill and you got shit on your hands.
Oh, I'm gonna leave $20 bills of shit on tomorrow.
You're gonna get kicked out of school. You're fired.
So be it.
High school teacher gets fired for putting shit on dollar bills.
I'll just be a professional podcaster.
No, it was an art experiment.
It was, yes.
I was trying to show them the psychology of an artiste.
I drew a smiley face and poop on the back of the dollar. Finger painting. That's disgusting. I apologize to anyone who had to hear that.
This is great. Well, I don't know. That's our podcast for tonight. Get your car squared away and be prepared for shit in the woods and like ghosts, I mean. And shit, actually. Like, watch out for that scat.
If you do find money, just be cautious.
Calder almost found someone. He thought he found a dead guy. I could understand that's terrifying. David's not scared of anybody. Noah, he's just scared of animals in the dark. Poor Noah.
It's
He's
all
a
very-
big dude.
It's all relatable.
It really is. It really is. My dad and I, when we hunted the Nicolay, back then you could bait. So we would take buckets of apples out the day before, fill those down. Of course, our stand is like not far off, so we could watch over the bait pile. And then my dad had this brilliant idea of like bringing apple juice and like dumping that on the trees and all around. It's just going crazy with the apple juice, you know, to really
Yeah,
get the scent going.
The aroma.
And sure enough, you'd go out there and deer had eaten all the apples. Of course, they did at night when you weren't there. But I was legitimately terrified that bear are going to come and eat these apples. I'm going to walk up at 3-4 in the morning on a fucking bear
It's
eating
not
the
gonna-
apples.
And the bear's not going to be pumped that you're coming
And
to
I'm
the
gonna,
apples.
I'm going to walk up on a bear that thinks it's dark, that's still going to town on the apples, and because he smells all the apple juice and all this stuff. And I'm gonna. That was like I was like, this seems like a bad idea. Like, I forget the deer at this point. Like, I'm pretty sure I've attracted a bear, and I'm gonna walk up on him, eating the apples because my stand is right by the damn apples. And I was very scared, so I would knock an arrow, or I would load my rounds, and I was like, I'm killing this, whatever the hell. Like, I'm not. Haul me off. I'm not taking any chances. You know what I mean?
I think that's probably, I mean, we used to bait a long, long time ago up there. And same thing, bears always, right? Like bears. But what we found out is that any kind of scent you would use, no matter what. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of like the deer scents have like molasses smell in it or vanilla smell to get the deer to come.
Yeah.
But obviously the bears were the things that showed up the most. But really any scent you use,
They'd be like, "Oh,
Bears,
what's
their
that?"
sense of smell is so good that they'll smell it from a long, long way. And they'll come check it out. So like nobody uses any scent anymore because all it did is bring in bears, occasional deer, but mostly bears.
You know what? There's not going to be the sun thing anymore. I don't
gonna
want
do
to.
it.
Yeah. Black bears are pretty big, and no thanks.
When there's bears around, I see less deer. It's weird.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. TikTok, Instagram, everybody. Appreciate it. Sorry for all the technical problems. I think we've now covered. We've gone past the time of which we started, so we've done the full hour. And we'll be back next week. I think we have guests the next 2 weeks of the show. So for the month of February, we have guests. I think we're bringing on the Rack Hub guys. It's on the screen right there. First week of March or so, I believe, and we'll be able to speak to the products by then. So I think that's all I got. I don't know. Let us know how you like the other podcasts on the network. They probably are better than ours.
Probably.
Yeah.
I hope. Yeah,
I'm sure they are.
They are. I've
Yeah.
listened. Yeah, they're
Southern
good.
News, they're crushing it. Okayest Trapper's crushing it. Turkey Season's crushing it. Okayest Fish, they're all crushing it. Upduck, like all of the guests and the narratives and the shows that everyone else on the network is putting on are way better than this one.
I wish we should do better.
We should just have them host our podcast. It'll be fine. But adios, folks. Thanks a bunch, and we'll catch you next week. Where's my mouse?